house that had cords coming. That's what? That's going ahead, right? Oh, no, what did they moved it. Finally. It took me tripping over it before putting it.
Okay, welcome to tonight's council meeting of Tuesday, July the 16th. We're starting right on time as usual. We have our old Canada singer here. Is Jaden here? In the absence of Jaden, the most recently hired employee sings. Who would that be? I'm not sure. Oh, Donna, I guess that'd be you. By a couple of weeks. Eric. Yeah. All right. Well, in the absence of our national anthem singer, maybe we can do a moment of silence and reflect on whatever it is that you'd like to reflect on. All right, thank you very much. You can be seated. Okay, first order of business is the adoption of the minutes from the June 25th council meeting. Moved by Councillor Thompson, second by Councillor Dabrowski. All those in favor? And those minutes are approved. Thank you. We're now looking for disclosures of a pecuniary interest. Councillor Lococo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Check 427273 payable to myself May 27, 2019. Reimbursement for expenses. Check 427826 payable to myself June 12, 2019. $1,323.02 payable to myself for expenses for FCM. Check 427162 May 23, 2019 for $2,334.34 to Niagara Falls Art Gallery. I sit on the board as a resident. Check 428093 June 19, 2019, $2,334.34 Niagara Falls Art Gallery. Check 427198 May 23, 2019, $24,866.67 payable to Project Share. I sit on the board as a resident. And check 428392 June 26, 2019 for $24,866.67. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Any other disclosures? Councillor Strange and then Campbell.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Check number 427274 and 427915 reimbursements from FCM, as well conflict on communications 9.9. Our 9th annual Here's Heroes Run for Children. I'm on the Fallsview Hose Brigade who hosts this event.
Okay, thank you for that. Councillor Campbell.
Yes. Check number 427270 made out to myself, and check number 427733 made out to myself. And I have to ask the clerk, did you receive that message?
Yes, we have yours in writing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Inoni.
Thank you. Check 427272 and check 427796 made out to myself.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Dabrowski.
Declare a conflict under Communications 9.9. Just like Councillor Strange had just mentioned, I'm a member of the Fallsview Hose Brigade.
Any other disclosures? Okay, and for myself, checks number 427271, 427088, and 428012, checks to myself as well. Okay, so if there's no other disclosures, we move on to a very brief mayor's reports and announcements. First off, we'd like to offer our condolences to Councillor Strange for the loss of his aunt, Winnie Mokniak. Is that right? Yep. And we pass along our condolences to you and to your family. And also, we'd like to thank him at the same time for representing the city at a few events. The grand opening of the Queen Bean coffee shop downtown. I joined him as well as Councillor Lococo. Key to the City and certificate presentation to Ethel Wood at our Canada Day celebration, and greetings at Kettlebell's Tug of War. Our next council meeting will be Tuesday, August the 13th. So moving along to item 6.1, the former Parks, Recreation, and Culture Building. And we've got Mark Richardson here today, who's going to, I believe, start off the presentation. Is that right? So if you'd like to step to the mic, welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, Your Worship and members of Council. I am happy to be here on behalf of Cemetery Services to speak with you about the options for the former Parks, Recreation, and Culture Building located at the corner of Montrose Road and Lundy's Lane. Before doing so, I would like to provide a bit of an overview, a very brief overview of Niagara Falls Cemetery Services. Niagara Falls Cemetery Services owns, operates, and maintains 21 cemeteries and 1 indoor columbarium. Our cemeteries are often noted as some of the most beautiful in Ontario, and that is supported by some of the letters received from the local funeral homes. The active cemeteries within those 21 cemeteries are Fairview Cemetery, which currently is 77 acres large. Only 6 acres remain for development, and approximately 3,500 new lots remaining for purchase. Lundy's Lane Cemetery is the second largest cemetery, currently 18 acres and approximately 1,150 new lots remaining. And finally, the third active cemetery is Stamford Presbyterian, which is only 2 acres. And up until last year, there were no lots remaining. However, with the practice of infilling, we were able to identify 44 new lots, 30 of which now remain. It is important to note that as per the recommendation of the 2013 Cemetery Services Delivery Review, we continue regular development of additional lots or plots and columbarium installation at Fairview Cemetery to meet the growing need. As space becomes scarce, we are, just as we did at Stamford Presbyterian, investigating opportunities, infilling opportunities. That noted, what we anticipate is that we have approximately 25 to 30 years life expectancy for lot sales at our current locations based on today's annual lot sale average. Now, of course, we're here today to speak about a building that is located at Lundy's Lane Cemetery, and I would also like to provide a bit of history and a bit of background about the cemetery itself. Lundy's Lane Cemetery, which is located, at the corner of Montrose Road and Lundy's Lane, was originally a Methodist cemetery. It was a 1.5 acre cemetery, which was established in 1817 and was also home to the Red Meeting House, which served as one of the earliest Methodist churches. Once that building was removed, actually to this day, there stands a large stone cairn, which was installed by the Lundy's Lane Historical Society, which recognized the pioneer families, as well as the purpose of the Red Meeting House. Originally, the Methodist cemetery was known as Garner Cemetery, and also referred to as Green's Corner Cemetery. The reason for that is it is also the location of Charles Green's monument, which actually sits just outside of the cemetery fence. His grave was in fact discovered in the 80s when the region was planning the widening of the cemetery, and they identified a grave. So in fact, they had to narrow the road at that time. Charles was a member of the King's Rangers, United Empire Loyalists, and was also the original landowner who conveyed 1.5 acres to the Methodist Church for the development of the first cemetery and the Red Meeting House. Lundy's Lane Cemetery is also home to the Holocaust Memorial, which was erected in 1998 and dedicated to the memory of 6 million Jewish men, women, and children who perished at the hands of the Nazi regime from 1933 to 1945. Now, the municipality took ownership of the cemetery in 1934 and immediately expanded it. It was 16 acres until 2015, at which point we purchased the Nagy property, which is the entire northern limits of the cemetery, and it was expanded to 18 acres. Currently, we are limited to in-ground burial options only. By that, I mean we do not have any columbarium on site. I'd like to provide a few photos of the original Methodist cemetery. This is as it currently stands after significant work was completed a few years back. The images that are being illustrated now are the 2 gateways of Lundy's Lane. The top left-hand corner is the main entrance at Lundy's Lane, and the lower right-hand corner is the entrance on Montrose, which also serves as the Korean War Veterans Association Memorial. they've donated that bench, and we also had the donation of 2,500 tulip bulbs which were planted some years ago. Finally, the last two pictures depict the recreation building as it currently stands in the southwest corner of Lundy's Lane Cemetery. The Lundy's Lane Cemetery, or the old recreation building, was originally constructed as a schoolhouse in 1915. It became a police headquarters in 1953, for which it served 10 years as that purpose, after which it was used until 2004-2005 as municipal headquarters for parks, recreation, and I believe a museum or an art facility as well. The photo on the lower right corner illustrates a section of the cemetery adjacent to what is the remaining area of parking space for the old recreation building. In 2008, we took a portion of the parking lot and turned it into 100 lots, all of which were sold within a few months' time. City staff and consultants, as you know, in the past and presently are investigating options for the repurposing of the existing structure or the expansion and development of cemetery space on the existing property. The following slides will present the anticipated costs of each. The two options currently being evaluated are the proposed cemetery development, including a gateway feature, a garden, in-ground lots, and a large columbarium surrounding a memorial garden. The second option is to repurpose the existing Parks, Recreation, and Culture building as an indoor columbarium. Anticipated costs with respect to option 1, proposed cemetery development, are as follows. The anticipated costs of demolishing the existing building, which we hope to achieve in 2019, are $255,000. Grading and development of 250 in-ground lots, again, is something we hope to achieve in 2019, would be an additional $25,000. The development of a 400 niche custom columbarium and memorial garden feature, which we hope to do in 2020, would be a cost of $275,000. And the gateway feature and corner garden, again, something we hope to include in 2020, would be a cost of $75,000. The total cost of this project is $630,000. With respect to the anticipated revenue, at today's current price, 250 lots at $3,000 would generate $750,000. The 400 niche columbarium at a cost of $2,500 per niche would generate $1 million. The gateway feature and corner obviously would not generate revenue unless we were to include it in our garden donation program. So the total revenues identified are $1.75 million. After subtracting the anticipated cost, we have a remaining revenue of $1.12 million. Now, we've also taken into consideration the annual maintenance cost for each of the options. As you know, this area of this property sits within the existing cemetery. It is less than 2 acres, and we currently have staff housed on site that maintain the cemetery, including the mowing and trimming of the grass, the maintenance of the trees, and the weeding of the gardens. As such, there would not be an increased annual maintenance cost with respect to staffing. There would, however, with the addition of all of the proposed gardens, be an increased cost of $5,500 annually, which would be part of the citywide beautification program. With respect to option 2, to repurpose the existing building as an indoor columbarium, I provide the following cost estimates, capital cost estimates. The removal and remediation of the designated substances, which to my knowledge include asbestos, mercury, lead, and black mold, range between $320,000 and $646,000. The renovation of the existing interior and exterior is approximately $1.4 million. Again, the installation of 400 niche units, in this case, is $250,000. And I should preface this, in both options, we've used 400 niches as a proposal. However, I should say each of the options allows for further expansion. Whether it's outdoor columbarium, it would be additional installations of domed columbarium. And if it's internally, there would be space to accommodate additional niche units as well. The subtotals of the capital cost to renovate the existing building range between $1.97 million and $2.296 million. From the anticipated revenue, we have 400 niches, which would be sold again at $2,500, presenting a revenue of $1 million. So taking that into consideration, we have a loss of $970,000, ranging between $970,000 and $1.296 million. And again, we wanted to be sure that we were comparing apples to apples, so we also compared the maintenance, the anticipated annual maintenance cost for the building if it were to be turned into an indoor columbarium. And the costs that you see before you are all of the necessities which have been taken from the costs that we spend on the existing operations center at Lundy's Lane Cemetery. Electricity is anticipated to be $800, water $1,200, natural gas $5,000, fire monitoring and security $1,000, cleaners $1,500, garden planting and maintenance, as the building would not only be improved on the interior but also on the exterior, would be approximately $3,500 a year, and the anticipated annual building maintenance would be $2,500 for a total, approximate total of $15,500. And again, I would suggest that this is a very conservative number, as maintaining a historic building at times does come with increased costs. One option that was presented to me that I did not include in this list is in updating the building and making it accessible, an elevator may be necessary. And if that were the case, we would have the additional annual inspection costs of having the elevator. In light of the need for future cemetery capacity, the desire to beautify and create a gateway feature, and the financial evaluations as previously presented, Cemetery Services provides the following end-use recommendations for the old rec building and associated property. In 2019, we recommend that we remove the cultural heritage significance designation from the building, and that we proceed with demolishing the old recreation building and develop a large gateway feature, entrance, and garden which incorporates the red brick from the existing building, including the coined corners, in the development of that gateway feature. And I'll show some illustrations very shortly. We also recommend that we develop approximately 250 in-ground cemetery lots in 2019 with the future development of a large columbarium, custom-designed columbarium feature, including a memorial garden, which would also incorporate the stonework of the existing recreational building in its design. Further to the recommendations, the expansion of the cemetery and design of the gateway feature, garden, and columbarium provide the following. It acknowledges key historical features of the existing building. It meets the need for cemetery development using our existing space. It responds to the wishes of Niagara Falls residents and local bereavement professionals, and will observe priorities identified in the Lundy's Lane Streetscape Master Plan. The proposed design features would also include signage and plaques memorializing not only the recreation building, but pioneer families, including the landowners, the original landowners, the Lundys and the Greens family, as well as all historical structures, including the Methodist cemetery, the Red Meeting House, and the two schoolhouses, one of which was later a police station, that have existed on Greens Corners. So I'd like to illustrate the proposal that we're putting forth this evening. And before doing so, I'd like to show the area which we have been speaking about. The lower left is obviously an aerial illustrating the rec building and the property, the current property associated with that. The top right-hand corner is a design that was first developed by our by our landscape student, Grace, and she's done a wonderful job incorporating the comments and commentary that we've been hearing over the last number of years with respect to cemetery development, the need for columbarium, and at the same time, the need to beautify that corner and incorporate it as a gateway piece for the Lundy's Lane BIA. So once receiving that design, we were able to speak with our AutoCAD staff, and they were able to overlay the cemetery design or the cemetery development idea along with the creation of the large columbarium structure in the northeast corner, And also, this illustrates the significance of the gateway feature and the greenscaping or green screening that would be included in this proposal. Looking more at the details of the design proposal, what you're looking at now is an illustration of the red brick gateway feature that would incorporate the red brick that would be from the old rec building. And the design would include the coined corners, which was identified as one of the historical features of the old recreation building. It also illustrates the bench space and the pedestrian pathway that would welcome people into the cemetery in a much more welcoming and beautiful manner. And clearly, you can see that the flower beds and trees that would be added to the corner are substantial. I should also note, as we're on this page, as previously mentioned, signage, including storyboard and memorial plaques, would also be incorporated into the design and construction of this piece. I thought it would be fitting in wanting to show that this corner would not just be a showpiece in the summer. As you may have seen, we have tried to beautify, the Lundy's Lane BIA has tried to beautify that corner through the addition of streetscaping, with the addition of the large nutcrackers, lighting the trees in the winter, and so we wanted to incorporate those same features to beautify the corner and the proposed design. Finally, as we get into the cemetery, we wanted to illustrate what the proposed columbarium would look like. And I will show you very shortly an existing columbarium that ultimately served as the model for this idea. But I stopped here because I wanted to illustrate that the design of this columbarium would incorporate the stonework from the lower level of the old recreation building. And in speaking with the developer of the existing columbarium, which is located in BC, they've already incorporated local stonework when they've installed these columbarium across Canada. And they think it would be a wonderful idea to incorporate the historical values or the pieces of the old rec building in our new columbarium. And again, we wanted to show that not only would this serve as a columbarium, part of the idea and the principles behind this development concept is that we are adding cemetery space, but we're beautifying that corner. And in the last number of years, we've been trying to bring more people into our cemeteries for uses other than interring or including the interment of our loved ones. We're encouraging more people to come in and tour our cemeteries, recognize the historic values of all of our locations, including Lundy's Lane, Fairview, Drummond Hill Cemetery. They each host a very significant aspect or historical aspect to the development of the city of Niagara Falls. As mentioned, this is the existing columbarium in Mountain View Cemetery in Vancouver, BC. And as you can see, they were able to incorporate the design and construction using local masonry and local stone. And so what we've developed is something using the stonework from the existing recreation building, but adding a memorial garden in the center feature as opposed to a fountain. I'd like to demonstrate some of the existing historical and site memorialization features at Lundy's Lane, and there are significant numbers. As previously mentioned, the large stone cairn which currently stands in the old Methodist cemetery. So the old Methodist cemetery is the lower left-hand picture, which has been was restored years ago. And the stone cairn recognizes the original red meeting house. And then again, beside the stone cairn, on the outside of the cemetery fence, you'll see Charles Green's memorial recognizing his role with the United Empire Loyalists and with the King's Rangers. And so what we have incorporated, or what we're proposing to incorporate into the design features of this development, are additional features that would recognize the history of the location, the history of the buildings, and the history of the families that have made the development of this cemetery possible. And so we've shown a few examples here, including the signage for the Queen Victoria Fountain, which is at Fairview Cemetery, for Burr Plato, who was the first black politician in Canada who's laid to rest at Drummond Hill Cemetery, The lower right-hand corner is a plaque that's installed at Fairview Cemetery for one of the original farm properties prior to the development of that cemetery. And the lower left-hand corner is the sign located at Drummond Hill Church, demonstrating or presenting the original churches which sat on those properties. And so what we're proposing is that we incorporate this type of signage on the property, not only to recognize the Parks, Recreation and Culture, the history of the Parks, Recreation and Culture building as a schoolhouse and a police station, but also recognizing the other components of the property, including the Red Meeting House, the first schoolhouse, the Methodist Church Cemetery. In conclusion, while we absolutely appreciate and recognize the importance of preserving our local history, we must also take into account the cost to repair and maintain the existing structures. We at Cemetery Services conduct significant levels of monument restoration throughout our cemeteries, as illustrated in the photos of the original Methodist cemetery. However, there also comes a time when the condition of these monuments does not allow us to keep them upright and legible. It is at those moments that we must elect to pursue the safest and most cost-effective option, all the while memorializing those who were here before us. We strongly believe that the option to develop a gateway feature garden, along with cemetery lots and a custom columbarium, which incorporates significant design features of the old recreation building, storyboard signage, and plaques, will not only memorialize the old rec building as its previous uses, it will also help to share the significant history of the corner, which predates the construction of the old rec building and the schoolhouse. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Mark, and I neglected to mention that you are the manager of Cemetery Services as well, not just a random presenter here at City Council, so thank you. I've got Councillor Iannone.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to move staff's recommendations for the following reasons. We got the letter that we got from Morrison Son, I think, put it as succinctly as you can. We had a report 2003 that recommended we take down that building. We dealt with it 2006, we dealt with it 2013. We've done nothing. That building doesn't look any different. It's an eyesore to Lundy's Lane. I drive by it every single solitary day. I think it's long past due. Your renderings are beautiful. And Mr. Morgan points out, had we demolished it when we could have, it would have been $110,000, and now it's $250,000. So I think it's our own indecision cost us the increase in demolition price. So I'll move that we follow staff's recommendations and deal with this once and for all.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Thompson?
Yes, I agree with the comments that have been made, but I want to tell you, Mr. Richardson, that presentation was excellent. We've always been talking about the benefits for the cemetery, but I really enjoyed your comments on how you worked the building into the project. And we're not tearing the building down and forgetting about it. We're actually relocating it in conjunction with a very positive move with respect to the cemetery services in our community. And I think that was really a spectacular presentation, and support second the motion.
Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Lococo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through the mayor to our presenter, thank you so much for the presentation. I just had one question regarding the accessibility. You did say if we did have to do accessible, you could put in the elevator and then there would be cost. Does this rental cost include all of the other accessibility issues as well? Doors, bathrooms, all of that sort of thing?
Through your worship, my understanding is that the cost associated with the renovation would bring it up to today's standards, so accessibility would be included.
Okay, thank you. I would also support the recommendation.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? I understand we've got, Councillor Strange.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I thought it was a great presentation, and you know, it's tough to see this building going down. I think we all think that. You know, if we probably would have taken care of it years ago, it might not be in the state. To get this designation taken off, and you look at the math, part of it, but the most important thing is the history, and we're all worried about losing our history. And I remember years ago, meeting Sir Falsetti down here, probably in the, I don't know, early 90s, and then the history of having a school there and once a police station. So I think it's very important that we do keep that history. I like that we're using some of the stone from the current structure, but I actually would like to, if I can get a friendly amendment, to try to add any kind of names that are associated with that building that we might be able to find through our archives. On the plaques, we can include names that were part of the recreation building and part of the old school and the old police. We might have to do a little bit of research, but it'd be really nice to have some kind of plaque designated and have all the families' names and people that we remember, because we don't want to forget them.
Okay, so we've got a request for,
said that.
what's that?
But that's in the presentation.
To put the names out?
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
Oh, was it? Okay, sorry.
okay, so Mark, we're gonna give a
Thank you.
little
Dropped
historical,
off for a few minutes.
yeah, so that,
I'll speak.
no, we have a request here for Mr. Pingu. Mr. Pingu wanted to address council, so we're gonna give him that opportunity. And we've got letters of support from the Lundy's Lane BIA, as well as a couple of the funeral homes as well. Okay.
Good evening.
Welcome.
Your Worship, member of the council, Mark, very good presentation.
Yeah,
I heard very good tonight about the presentation of preserving the history. I never heard this before. It's 12 years we've been working with this project. I've been involved. This is the first time I heard this speech, maintain the history. That's what I had marked to hear. Whatever you said, Mark, it's on this book. The only thing that I see, I didn't know that the Columbarium, they sell for $2,500. I believe what he said. If we keep the building, you don't have to reinstall these stones. BC did not have a building when they built it. I can see on the pictures, wide open. This building is a gold mine. If it's $2,500 for Columbarium, one room is designed for $1,400. Columbarium, only one room. That is the classroom. And the history of this building, you want to reuse the stone. It's there. Why take it down? We don't need the parking over there for the Columbarium door. You can use the inside of the cemetery the way when you go, people park along the road. You could extend some of the plot close to the building. Close Montrose Road entrance, you don't need it. But you keep the origin of the history of the building. Group of immigrants donate that land, donate their time, and put a building that is stand for years. Stone, you can destroy it. Bricks, I went there just before I came here. I thank you, the alderman, to give me some of the information. I didn't know about this meeting tonight. I went by there to see if there is more damage, because I read in the newspaper this afternoon about that is in bad shape. I went there, I took a picture. There's none. I know where the hairline crack is. I looked, there is no movement. Indoor, after 12 years, it might be worse, yes, I agree. But I do have a letter that 12 years ago from two architects and one structural engineer well known in Niagara Peninsula. There was nothing wrong with the building. Now, if there is some problem inside now, I would like to see on that. And this, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about a building that built, the people volunteered their time, cared about this country, they give so much opportunity. Are we going to tear it down, put it in pieces? I'm not against what the gentleman said, but keep the building there. You could extend your plot, leave it 10 foot for the green around the building, it's plenty. It's plenty, 10 foot around the building is plenty. And you can extend the plot, sell the plot, whatever you gotta sell, and inside it stays the Columbarium. Is that too much to ask? That's all I'm saying. I would like to go inside and see the building. I'm doing one building now, you are aware of it, I think. This built 75 years ago. And they put too much weight on the sign on top. Everything is repairable. Everything you could reconstruct. And I like to put my 2 cents in there if it's possible. I don't want to get paid. I want to see the building. Take down the garage, yes, that's a disaster. But not the original building. If anybody could show me that the building outside is damaged, then I'd raise my hand. And then we will look the houses they build now. 10 years ago, Mount Carmel, I just came there from yesterday. Lady called me, they got a chimney, all burst of bricks. I could give you the address, go see it. House 10 years ago. So this is a building, it surely needs some maintenance. The cost to keep the building is right, it's about $15,000, that's fine. If you want to put an elevator in there, 1 floor elevator, you spend $25,000, $30,000. Maintain is $500, that's what I pay on my house. Same elevator you need there, one stop. If you want to put the elevator, then if you put the chair, it's cheaper yet. But nice elevator be good. It's $30,000. And you got a building, you got your history, it looks beautiful for every one of us. And you got the income over $3 million. If it's, and I believe what the gentleman said, $2,500, 1 room only. And you got 3 more rooms, smaller, but you can still fit more in there.
Gotta
I
wrap it up.
don't want to keep you time anymore, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
I just like to say that let's try to save the history. Let's keep this building. And I like to contribute towards of it the best I could, for knowledge, the little bit that I know about construction, and I don't want to get paid. I'll do the best I can. I don't turn down that building. It's historical. The more people I speak to, that's what they say.
Okay.
I thank you very much. Thank you for your time, Mark. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay, so I've got Councillor Ioannoni and Pierangelo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We've heard that same presentation for 12 years. Every time we discuss this, it's the same presentation, same inaction around this council. It's an eyesore. We haven't done anything for 12 years. Mr. Richardson's presentation is going to bring us into 2020. It's long overdue. We all appreciate history. They've done the best they can to incorporate it, but it's time we make a decision. When people say politics runs slow, 12 years is a little long in the tooth to have to make a proper decision on this.
Councillor Pierangelo.
Yeah, thanks, Your Worship. I guess the first thing I would say is not everyone sees a historic building as an eyesore. There's many parts of the report that I find supportable. Bringing the property in and being part of the cemetery, I think, is very supportable. I could see a fence going right along the sidewalk so that the entire property then becomes part of the cemetery. Utilizing extra land that the old Parks and Rec building had for extra plots and building a columbarium, I think, is very supportable. The part that I've never been in favor of is taking the building down. I just find it odd that we're heading down this road, seeing that we only made the decision in 2010, and it was this council that designated it as a heritage building. I think the majority of us, the majority of council, is still here. So the very people that designated it as a heritage building are now going to demolish it. I just think that we're sending the wrong message to the community. I don't know how we tell people that that the preservation of heritage buildings or historic buildings is important in our community, when we ourselves are taking away our own heritage destination and then wanting to demolish the building. It just seems to me as though, Your Worship, is that we have no regard for the policies that we before put in place. The other point that I wanted to make is, just earlier this year, we decided to take down the old courthouse on Queen Street. And the reasoning that we used behind it is that the building was too far gone in disrepair to actually bring back. We're saying that again. I mean, these are our own buildings, Your Worship. The city actually has a grant for people that have heritage properties so that they can upkeep their buildings. I guess we never decided to apply for our own grants because we don't take care of our own buildings, Your Worship, even the ones that have heritage designations on them. Your Worship, I can support a lot of parts of the report, but I can't support demolition. I just think that it's a step backwards.
Thank you. Councillor Ioannoni?
And to the councillor's point, most of us were here. Maybe 2 or 3 were not. And in 10 years, we haven't invested 1 penny into that building or had one initiative that we could get behind to save it. So while there might have been a majority at the time that supported it, we have not thought twice about it or renovating it or fixing it or putting public money into it at all in 10 years. Private people have, but that didn't get done either. So we're sitting 10 years later with a cost of demolition more and a great plan in front of us. So that's my point of the motion.
I've got Councillor Dabrowski.
To Mr. Payne's comments, and I respect them, we are preserving history. Councillor Strange mentioned it. We are tearing down a building. I think financially it just doesn't make sense. We're not only are we preserving history, we're fulfilling a need in our community. And I think Lundy's Lane and the QEW, that's a gateway into our community, and I think it's a corner that definitely needs improvement. I think the presentation and what's proposed will do that. And lastly, we're generating a significant amount of income. I think option 2 just doesn't financially make sense. Prior to speaking about that, though, we are preserving the history, and I want to make that known, but we have been, by the sounds of it, talking about this for more than 10 or 12 years now. We need to move forward. We need to let it go and do something with that corner. I think this is in our best interest, so I'll support the motion. I think Councillor Strange had an amendment that was already part of the recommendation either way, but thank you. What's that? Richardson.
Okay, do we have any other questions or comments of council? Okay, seeing none, we'll call the vote. All those in favor? Okay, opposed? Okay, so that passes with 2 opposed. Okay, thank you very much, and thank you very much. Excellent presentation, Mark. Item 6.2, adding Provincial Offences Act fines to the tax roll. Moved by Councillor Pietrangelo, second by Councillor Strange. All those in favor? Okay, and that's approved. Thank you. Consent agenda. Okay, a motion by Councillor Pietrangelo, second by Councillor Carrio to move the consent agenda, but before we do, we've got Councillor Campbell.
Yes, Your Worship, I'd like to withdraw TS 2019-22.
TS 2019-22.
Establishment of the common fair structure.
Okay, got it. Okay, motion to move the balance. Moved by Councillor Pietrangelo, second by Councillor Carrio. All those in favor? Okay, and that's approved. And we will go back to TS 2019-22, Intermunicipal Transit Coordinating Committee update. Floor is yours, Councillor Campbell.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. On the Seniors Advisory Committee, we have been discussing providing senior citizens with free bus transportation. I would like to propose a pilot project that I know all the other senior advisory committees in the peninsula will be going to their councils recommending the same request, that there be free transportation for seniors. I checked a couple of cities, As part of the city's proposal in 2019 operating budget, Burlington Council voted to approve a motion that would provide free transit for adults at 65 years of age and older between 9 a.m. and 2:30 on weekdays. And they've already started that project in 2019. They're also, and I'm not bringing that into the equation, but they're also talking about providing passes for low-income individuals. But that is not part of what I'd like to see. So I did bring a motion that probably needs some changes, but the motion, if I could make it up, bring it forward, that senior citizens 60+ years of age living within the city of Niagara Falls be provided free bus transportation between 9 a.m. and 3:30 p.m. on weekdays for a trial period of 3 months, and that two staff monitor the results and report back to council after the 3-month period. Instead of making it on August 1st, I think September 1st, I do believe, with conversations with transportation staff, they need that time to advertise, promote, and market.
Okay, thank you very much. We've got a motion. Do we have a seconder for that?
Well, I would second it, but I want to talk to the membership.
I'm sorry, you want to?
Yeah, I'll second it, but I'd like to talk to it as well.
Okay, well, so then we've got okay, by all means, floor is yours, Councillor. Oh, I'm sorry, just before we do, I've got Councillor, I know need to steady up, so.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to tell Councillor Lococo and I had an opportunity to have a meeting at Transit last week with Carl and Carla about different issues and different problems that were taking place at Transit. And when we met with them, they told us that they would be coming to council, asking council for additional funds. There's different issues in different areas. My concern, and I think it's a great idea, I think we were in the Transportation Committee seminar at FCM, and there's municipalities that let all residents ride free, but they did that at their budget time. So my only concern here is, I have no problem supporting it when we have all the information in front of us, but what will this cost at Transit? So if Transit needs to use X amount of money that they haven't budgeted for due to loss of revenue, is it going to cut other lines that are already problematic? Is it going to cut staffing? We've been told they have to go to the drivers, they have to have a marketing plan, there's all sorts of things that they have to do. I'd like to know what those things are before we approve the motion, and I'd like to know if it's going to cost, if it's going to be done at the cost of other ridership routes. And that's my only concern about it. I think your motion's great. I just think we need the information before we pass it. So I would prefer to see the motion read, we need a staff report telling us of the ramifications and not just passing it tonight. And we do have a homelessness initiative. For the most part, if you're homeless, you're riding the buses for free. And we do that already. So low income, not. But if you're homeless and derelict and trying to get to the homeless shelter, you're getting on the bus for free. So we do that already. And maybe we need to look at a broader program, because I was really shocked, I don't know about you, but when they're talking about municipalities who don't charge their residents anything to ride a bus, but they make up the revenue somewhere else. And I'm sorry, I didn't have my notes with me, and I can't remember where they made the revenue up. But they said that they're not riding at a deficit, that whatever they used to supplement worked. So I would just like to have all the information before we make a decision tonight.
Okay.
But I support the initiative, just with more information.
To the motion, Councillor Campbell? Did you
I just wanted to, and I appreciate the comments, but it's just that the Senior Citizens Advisory Group feels there's a huge amount of senior citizens that are housebound because they don't have transportation. They're not making use of the services that the city of Niagara Falls provides to its residents. They're concerned, they want to get these people out, get them back into the community, get them back involved in things. And that's why I'm suggesting that we do pass the motion tonight and find out in 3 months what the results were. And then we can deal with that after.
Okay, sounds good. We've got Councillor Pietrangelo, Lococo, and Thompson.
Yeah, thanks, Your Worship. I just want to say, I mean, I'm happy to second the motion because I like the idea. I always have. I know someone had mentioned it to me years ago, and it just never actually came up at council, but I appreciate that you're bringing it forward now through the Seniors Advisory Committee. A couple questions, Your Worship. One was cost. I think Councillor Iannoni already talked about that. I mean, obviously, we've already done our operating budget, and this would be a hit to our operating budget. So does staff have an idea as to what percentage perhaps the riders on Niagara Falls Transit are right now that are 60 and above? What dollar figure are we looking at in terms of our overall transit budget?
Okay, so we'll ask our CAO if he's got some indication.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We don't have the detailed data for 2018, but
Okay.
we can give you a guesstimate based on 17 numbers. It's probably in the neighborhood of about $140,000 to $150,000 budget impact per quarter, or 3 month or 4 month term, so per quarter. So I think
Per quarter's 3 months, right? So is that 600 a year or 450?
The estimate on an annual basis is about $440,000, $440,000. I'm sorry, a 3-4 month term would be about $145,000. So, and I think to Councillor Iannoni's comment, if council were to approve this, there is some legwork that needs to be done by staff to get it in order. But our view would be that we would not do this at the detriment of other routes. We're not going to cut back routes. What we would do is we would simply have a revenue shortfall that would have to be dealt with at year end. So it is going to have a budget impact, but we would not say we're going to cut back the 104 to accommodate the revenue shortfall. We would just continue to run the routes and deal with the revenue shortfall at the end of the year. I would just say, going back to the report, the intent here of the report tonight, it was in front of you, that started this conversation, was to try and get consistency across the region as we move to consolidation. I would say right now, though, the pilot would only be applicable within the city of Niagara Falls and only on Niagara Falls routes. If somebody wanted to go to St. Catharines on the regional route, they would still have to pay the rate. This would only be on conventional routes, as I understand in the email with Mrs. Stout this afternoon. But the idea here, but I just wanted to point out, to get standardization, the idea was to try to get to $3 per student, adult and senior by 2021. But if you look at the pass structure, by getting 10 bulk tickets, that rate on a senior, even though a cash fare may be higher, the pass fare would only be $2.25. So the rates would really go down. If you were a frequent user, you could buy 10 block tickets. So that was trying to get this standardized across the region for St. Catharines Transit, Niagara Falls Transit, and Welland Transit, so that everybody, as we move to consolidation, was having similar rates across the entire region. So that was the purpose of this report, and it really doesn't affect the trial. But if I could ask council, we would still like to have this report moving forward for the whole regional project, because all the other municipalities are dealing with similar things. But that's a going forward thing as we head into 2020, 2021. But in between that, if you approve the trial, the trial would determine whether that's different or not.
And I agree with that 100%, Your Worship.
Does your motion include making the recommendation with this amendment?
If, would you second it on that basis as well?
Sorry, what was the question?
To include the recommendation with the amendment that we do the 3-month trial.
Yeah.
Okay. So did you?
I still have more.
You have the floor.
Yeah, thanks, Your Worship. I had some more questions. One was in regards to the IMT and NFT, but you kind of answered that. You said that I guess the freedom to travel on intermunicipal transit wouldn't necessarily be there. It would only be on Niagara Falls Transit.
Yeah.
So I guess my question was in regards to the overall strategy. Is the strategy to get St. Catharines Transit and Welland Transit to approve seniors for free as well? and then this way the IMT or the intermunicipal transit would become free to seniors?
Well, through you, Mr. Mayor, if we were to get concurrence with the three big municipalities, which is really the bulk of the report that's here tonight, is to try to get common fare structure. My belief would be that as we move forward into a consolidated model, it would be best to have those three municipalities at the end of a trial be making a recommendation to what we call the Linking Transit Committee, and then having that region-wide. So if you're going to provide subsidized senior travel in the three big municipalities, to me it would make sense then to standardize that fare and go region-wide. But that would be something that would have to be decided depending on what the end result is. As council's aware, we're right now in the midst of an RFP that is going to determine what that future governance model should be. And we're hoping to have that report back to the councils in the first quarter of 2020. That consultant review should be done by the end of 19. So it's going to set out the model for how transit will operate in the future. But I think if the three large municipalities have recommendations from their councils or their transit commissions suggesting transit fares for seniors be free, that would be a recommendation would go forward to that group. So.
Okay, you got the floor.
Yeah, thanks, Your Worship. And I guess my last question would be in regards to why a trial period? I don't know that I understand why we would have a trial period for it. To me, it just seems like another program that we would do for seniors. We have a seniors rebate on taxes. We don't put it in as a trial period and say, well, we're going to see how many people apply and then maybe we'll cancel it next year. Or the water rebate that we have for seniors. We don't do it as a trial period. I'm wondering why we would do this one as a trial period. I mean, we already know what the numbers are, obviously. So to me, it seems like we're either going to do it or we're not, unless we're going to study the benefit and see whether or not there's an increased ridership and see whether or not we get a lot more seniors around to the places that they should be getting out and going to instead of staying in their homes. But to me, it's almost like it's a benefit for those people that have already paid into the system for so many years and have already paid services for the last 60 years that you're actually going to finally provide them for something free. So I'm not really understanding why we would do it as a trial period. I'm more on the side of if we're going to do it, let's do it. And I'm all in favor of that.
Well, I didn't make the motion, but I'm going to comment on the trial. But through you, Mr. Mayor, I think from staff's point of view, I think a trial is a more reasonable approach because when you get into budget deliberations next year, annualized, this could be, close to 1% on budget. And you may have other pressures that are facing you. So, if you can look at the trial, in my opinion, in conjunction with the rest of the budget and what other pressures may be facing you, to me, that's the best approach to take in terms of when we're heading into that year. This will give us a sort of the last quarter of this budget year to have a look at it, and then council's free at that point on an annualized basis as you're setting your budget for next year to deal with it.
So then just at that point, what type of information are we going to be collecting during this trial period?
Well, through Mr. Mayor, we would track through our software systems on the bus, our technology, we'll be able to track how many users, how many people availed themselves of it, what routes they took, whether there were peak times. So we have that technology to generate the reports. What we would do is we'd prepare that report and present it back. I would suggest we probably present it back at budget time so that when we're dealing with the transit budget, or perhaps just in advance of the transit budget, you'd have a good idea of how this program worked.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Would this include WeGo?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Well,
I've got.
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, no,
If I
go
could just
ahead,
answer
ahead.
that.
Yeah.
So, no, it wouldn't include the WeGo visitor passenger, but council realizes that part of our route is integrated with WeGo. So you have the red line, which acts partly as WeGo, partly as a conventional route. But the riders, I believe, and I'm going to go out on a limb here, but I believe the riders are able on board to be able to differentiate the ride between a WeGo pass and a conventional rider.
Okay, I've got Councillor Lococo, Thompson, and Kerrio.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I love the idea of doing this. I think it's a great opportunity for us to work with our senior residents so they can get out, get to community events, appointments. I love that idea. What I'm having a difficulty with is the cost. I think a pilot program is great. Even at that point, it's going to cost us around $150,000. So at least we're not cutting services. I'm really glad to see that. But we'll end up with a $150,000 shortfall. Could we not say that we could utilize our OLG money to do that instead of ending up with a shortfall? Could we direct the money there? And if we were to do it for a whole year, we're talking $435,000. We could be a leader in our community that has free buses for the seniors, but then when it comes to the common fares all the way around the municipality, if all of them don't agree, we're going to have to take that away then. Because if they don't agree with it, we all have to be at parity. So I'm a little bit concerned about that, but I'd like some answers about OLG money.
Now, the first thing, excuse me, just the cost on this, it'll be about 100,000, right? It's 430 annualized.
I'm sorry.
And what's that? It's 430,000.
Oh, 430.
Right, so that's, in quarters, that works out to be about 100,000, just over 105,000, so it's about 100. And the second question is, do we want to take it from OLG or looking at your end of your budget, Mr. CAO?
Well, first of all, we've utilized all of our old LG money for this year. I would suggest that we don't recommend putting more OLG money onto the operational side. But I think we'd prefer to deal with it as year-end budget. There's going to be a shortfall in the transit. Overall, we'll see what year-end surpluses are in other areas. Generally, there's pluses and minuses across the corporation in different accounts. Hopefully, we'll still be on the positive side of the ledger, and I think we'd prefer to take that approach.
Okay, as long as we're not going to decrease transit service, we're already having some challenges, so if I can have a guarantee that we won't do that, I would be for the motion.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor, our approach on this would be to keep providing the routes and the service we are providing now, and it would simply show up on the revenue side of reduced revenue because we're not charging those seniors. But as council's aware, we've had, some difficulties recently on staffing issues and trying to keep the routes going. That's going to be back up, by the end of the month. HR's done a huge recruitment drive, so we'll be back up to full numbers. But beyond that, our idea would be to carry on our regular transit service for the rest of the year and just show that revenue shortfall.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Thompson, Kerrio, and Dabrowski.
Well, first of all, I think the proper, and we have a responsibility as council members to have all of the factual information with respect to a decision like this. We don't have any of the transit people here this evening. I appreciate the CAO giving us some information financially, but what is happening with transit? I'm reading about people very upset about cutting some of the routes, about the employment situation, and what's happening with other transit people in the region and what's happening with that. The other thing, what's happening with the amalgamation issue and how it's going to affect everything. The motion that we should have tonight is to refer this to our staff. We have another meeting in August, and we could have not only all of the factual financial information, but all the impact that this is going to have on transit and the budget and how it's going to affect everything that we do here. So I think a referral with a report back would be appropriate, and a responsibility that we have to know all the factual information with respect to this. and we're not hearing it tonight. I can't support that.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Bilodeau?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, just to a question through Councillor Thompson's comments. If we were to come back with a report in August, that should leave us enough time to allow for a trial period the last quarter of the year. So that'll allow us the month of September to do the planning. We come forward with a report to council in August, and the trial could run from October to December.
Okay, thank you for that. Councillor, yep, I'm just going to follow the order here, Councillor. Councillor Carrio and then Dabrowski.
Thank you, Your Worship. I like the initiative as well, but I would like to see a staff report first. Because I think it's a tough thing to do to make a trial. And what, if you have a lot of people using it and it's gonna cost us a lot of money, we say, no, we don't wanna do it anymore? I'd rather have a good look at it, let staff come back with a full report to us, and then look at it as a permanent situation, not do it then I agree with Councillor Thompson. Good initiative. I'm glad to support it, but I'd like to see a staff report first and see the financial impact. It's really the responsible thing to do.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Dabrowski.
I'll agree on that as well. I think even now looking at the financial implications as well, there's an increase of seniors obviously here in our community. I talk to a lot of them. They don't know where to go, what's in the community. I think this is a huge opportunity. It's big news that we have something to communicate to the seniors. We can use it as an opportunity to gain their data, to gain their contact information, and to use it as a tool to continue to communicate to them. So like Mr. Bilodeau said, it sounds like if we can get a plan in place by August and September, we can start ridership in October. I think it's a great opportunity, marketability-wise for sure, but definitely I'll support the initiative.
Thank you. Councillor Carrio.
I have one more quick question. What percentage of our ridership now falls into this category? What percentage of our
seniors?
ridership? Seniors that are going to be exempt from paying. Do we know that number?
So either the CAO or Mr.
Whoever.
Bilodeau.
We track it?
We did some information this afternoon. I know it's very crude. I can try to pull it up here, but it was kind of very quickly this afternoon. We were trying to get some numbers together. I'm not sure if Ken can get it quicker than I can.
I have it if you
I'm
want.
assuming that that's where that number of what it's going to cost is.
It's not a percentage. Cash fares for seniors, 31,501 times $2.75. 10 ride for seniors, there's a card you can buy for 10 rides, 6,656 times $25. Monthly pass for seniors, 2,193 times $65. And the total fares for seniors, this is 2017's figures, is $395,572.75. Then if you estimate an average increase of 10%, that comes up to $39,557. Oh no, there's a decimal point. $395,572.75. So then total senior fares for 2018 estimate $435,130. But they were going to pull them out tomorrow because they have to dig through the fare box to find out who paid cash. Was it a senior? Was it not? So there's more information that's needed.
So we don't have it at our fingertips. That's what we're getting at. So we need to do a little bit of digging. So yeah, Councillor Strange.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I love the idea. I think it's great. You know, we're all, I know a lot of grandparents and parents that don't drive anymore. And like Councillor Campbell said, you know, the seniors sometimes feel that they're stuck in their homes and they're saving up maybe for, you know, to get a taxi to a hospital or to go out for a night or trying to save some money for their grandkids. And it gives them a great opportunity to just go out and they can get things done. And it might be something where it's a shortfall for us, but it's going to be a windfall for a lot of businesses. Think about them. They can go out, they can spend more money on their grandchildren, they can have a free ride, you know, whether it be to go to the shopping mall or to get groceries or get important stuff like going to the doctors. So I think it's very important, and like Councillor Peter Anderson said, they paid in our system already. They really have, so they deserve this. They really do, and I think it's a great initiative. I think it's going to look great on us, and it'll be great for the city of Niagara Falls and for seniors around.
Okay, thank you for that. So I guess it comes down to, yes, sir, did you want to speak to this motion? About this? Well, if you'd like to come forward, and you've got just a few minutes, if you can state your name and your address.
My name is Andrzej Dmytrasz. I live in Chippewa, 3924 Winebrenner Road. I heard this talk about speeches about retired people. and I retired too. So let's do Niagara Falls not be last one. City of Brampton, just I inform, since August 1st, they have ticket prices 50% for seniors. Since January 1st, 2020, seniors free. So it is wonderful gift for seniors. Anyway, I live in Chippewa, and very often I see buses. We go. Buses almost empty. Big buses, 1-2 person. So it is good to find some money. It's easy to find, not to let big bus to go to Chippewa. Can be some smaller. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So, Councillor Campbell, you got a choice here of whether you want to leave the motion flying or if you want to have the staff report and then have it deferred by a month. So, the idea of October 1st till the end of the year.
Your worship, I'd like my motion to stand. If it doesn't go through, I felt that it was really important to get the trials period completed so that we've got data to base our judgments on. I understand all the other comments around here, but I think that staff can get this together for the 1st of September. So I'll leave that motion, and if it's not successful,
Well, that's the staff report.
yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. So does everybody understand?
Declaring a conflict because they're gonna be able to ride for freedom, no?
I think you're the only one.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, so does everybody on council understands the motion? The motion is that we do a trial of 3 months from September, include September, October, and November for seniors 60 and over, Monday to Friday, free rides.
9 to 3:30.
9 to 3:30. So it'll actually be less than 107,000 because it's not 7 days a week. It's
Well,
not,
why would we do?
so,
Can I just speak to that?
Yes.
I don't understand why we would do that. If you're gonna give them free rides, you give them free rides, not between 9 to 3:30, free rides all day. So, yeah, I'm not
Okay.
gonna support the motion only because I'd like a staff report, but I don't understand if you're gonna give it free, you give
Okay.
it free all day.
so the motion, Councillor Pietrangelo, you're okay with that amendment? Councillor Pietrangelo? Okay. So the motion is for seniors, the month of September, October, November, 60 and over, free transit on the Niagara Falls Transit System. Is that right?
Weekdays.
Pardon me?
Weekdays?
I thought you were doing the whole,
All night.
okay, the whole time. Okay. Is that? Okay, the only question we have now, right now, is the age.
60. We've already defined that.
Have we?
Yes, we have.
Okay.
I have the purpose of the advisory committee to serve in an advisory capacity to city council and staff on matters that impact the quality of life of seniors 60-plus years in the city of Niagara Falls. It's defined as the terms of reference for the Senior Citizens Advisory Committee that council passed.
Okay.
So you got about 5 more years.
Yeah, it's coming quick. Okay, yes, Councillor Lococo?
I was going to support the motion, but since staff can bring it back for the last quarter, I'm probably not going to. If we can get the figures, I would like to see the staff report.
Okay. Well, we know the figures. We know the figures about 107,000. That part we know. We don't know the greater statistics. That part we know.
That's what we're gathering with the trial study.
Okay, so you heard the motion.
Know the impact on transit totally.
Okay.
And regional transit.
So you know the motion? Yes. 60 plus, seniors free, 3 months. We'll call the vote. All those in favor? It's 4, and I would agree with that and pass that. Okay, thank you. So that's approved. Okay, we're on to the planning matters. Item 8. And I would ask if our clerk would introduce the next item on the agenda.
Public meeting is now being convened to consider a city-initiated amendment to the city's zoning bylaw. Notice was given by placing an advertisement in the Niagara Falls Review on Friday, June 21st, 2019. Anyone who wants notice of the passing of the zoning bylaw amendment or would like to preserve their opportunity to appeal to the local planning appeal tribunal shall leave their name on the sign-in sheets that are located outside the council chamber.
Mr. Hurlovich, if you'd please explain the purpose and reason for the proposed bylaw amendment.
Thank you, Your Worship. This is a housekeeping matter that's been initiated by staff. Council may recall, that one doesn't want to work. Try another one. But maybe Bill can advance those for me. Basically, council had studied previously a number of houses that were in disrepair or had a neglected appearance in the tourist core. Some of these were along Stanley Avenue, Kitchener Street, south of Ferry Street, and around Dunn Street. And so we passed council passed a bylaw in 2017 for a 2-year period to encourage property owners to take down and remove any of those buildings that were in a neglected state. You can have the next slide. So the bylaw was passed in 2017, as I said. It expired in June of this year. During that time, we had only 3 derelict properties removed. We'd like to extend this period for a further 2 years. This corresponds with a change in the way in which we charge demolition fees. So council earlier this year waived any demolition fees for removal of residential properties. So to have these two actions come together would be ideal. And so the idea is that if the property owner removes the building and the property is reassessed as residential vacant, the property owner doesn't see an increase in taxes, and the overall appearance of the area is improved. Next slide. So the official plan designates these lands that were outlined on that map on the first slide as a central tourist district. They're intended to develop for a number of tourist-serving uses. The residential uses are legal non-conforming uses, and the city has policies that would seek the removal of these uses over time and remove any incompatibility between the non-conforming use and the conforming uses. The removal of derelict buildings will improve the amenity and attractiveness of the area. The removal of the dwellings may assist for land assembly to make compliant tourist-serving redevelopment in the future. The zoning bylaw that was illustrated on the earlier slide, so those lands would be are zoned tourist commercial. The schedule would identify the properties specifically which are in poor repair. Actually, these couple of houses in behind the Ramada on Stanley Avenue are actually in fairly good repair, so the bylaw would protect any buildings like that, but any buildings which the owner feels that they no longer want to maintain could be demolished. The property then, once demolished and grassed, would automatically be rezoned deferred tourist commercial, DTC. The deferred tourist commercial zone limits the use of the property to existing use, accessory dwelling or uses, which includes the single detached dwelling and home occupations. So those would be the uses permitted, and as such, MPAC reassesses those. You can do the next slide. Would reassess those. So Municipal Property Assessment Corporation reassesses the lands as vacant residential, and once the dwelling is removed, and some of the dwellings anyway, and if that happens, then they don't pay any additional taxes. If the dwellings are maintained, they would retain their TC zoning as buildings in good condition they too pay a residential tax rate. This would be a 2-year window that would allow owners the opportunity to decide whether or not they want to repair any of these buildings which are in poor shape, or whether they want to demolish them. This is an enticement to owners to remove the derelict buildings and to improve the overall area. The recommendation then complies with the official plan policies to remove non-conforming uses. The appearance of the tourist core is improved, and it provides a favorable impression for tourists and visitors to the core area. Therefore, staff is recommending that council approve the zoning amendment application site-specific for the tourist commercial zones that were shown on the first slide, that would allow them to be deferred tourist commercial on the condition that the dwelling be removed and replaced with landscaping within a 2-year period, and that council could pass the related bylaw that's on tonight's council agenda. It's an extension of the bylaw that was previously approved.
Thank you, Mr. Hurlovich. We've got questions of council for Mr. Hurlovich. Councillor Thompson?
See if the public has any comment.
Who?
If
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna get,
otherwise, I'm gonna close the meeting. I've been working on this for years.
Councillor Lococo.
Through Mr. Mayor to Mr. Hurlovich, for those 3 buildings that were demoed, are they upkeeping on the landscape?
I hope so. I don't know.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So if there's no further questions of council, members of the public are advised that failure to make an oral or written submission at this public meeting will result in the local planning appeal tribunal dismissing any referral that it receives. Failure to sign the sign-in sheet will result in staff rejecting an appeal as per section 3419 of the Planning Act. Is there anyone here who'd like to address council on this issue? Okay, seeing none, the public meeting with respect to the proposed zoning bylaw amendment is now concluded. Councillor Thompson moves the recommendations.
First of all, this has been going on for years. Started out with the DoubleTree, the Orsini family, and Stanley Avenue in that area was disgusting. Anyway, a lot of it has been bought up and torn down. There's several other areas, and it took the solicitor at the time several years to come up with something that the impact assessment people would accept. So this is there's still a lot of these out there in the tourist commercial area. So I would move the approval of this, but I would suggest to the end of the term of council. I don't think 2 years makes any sense. I would move to the end of this council term, which may be less than 2 years anyway.
Might be.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Okay, and did you want to speak to it? Yes, sir.
Mike, can I approach and make a comment?
Well, you didn't hear me earlier call
Yeah,
for?
I heard you, I was just listening, that's why.
Yeah, okay. If you'd like to come up here and make a quick comment, if you can keep it brief. If you can state your name and your address, please.
Sure, name Chevalier John Robert. I live in Niagara Falls, Silvertown, 4123 Hickson Avenue, Niagara Falls, Ontario, Canada, L2E3K1. I think that some people here relate to the homes that you're speaking of demolishing. And like, I think there was a time when people used to think about selling their home, right? Maybe they don't have a place to go yet to, right? So if they're residing there, and then some sort of arrangement of things is saying, well, profit can almost be banked on if you uplift property and make commercial development available, that kind of an idea. Well, we still, you're giving good things to the seniors for the bus services, but you can't live on the bus, right? So if people don't have anywhere to go and their houses their homes are being taken from underneath them, say a red carpet or so, I would consider you measuring that in with the decisions that you have to make and making an appropriate, wise choice with people in mind.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Councillor Pietrangelo, did you want to? Yep, Councillor Thompson.
First of all, what we're talking about are vacant homes that are dilapidated that have been in the prime tourist area, not ones that are occupied. All the ones in the Stanley area were vacant. So we're not displacing anybody. That doesn't relate to this situation at all.
Okay. So Councillor Pietrangelo, did you have any comment to that, or just second? Okay. If there's no further comments of council, we'll call the vote. All those in favor? Okay, and that's approved unanimously. Thank you very much. Moving along on the agenda, we've got 9.1, support of the Auditor General's recommendation. We've got, it's a motion. Yep, to receive and file. Receive and file, moved by Councillor Pietrangelo, second by Councillor Strange. All those in favor? It's approved, thank you. 9.2, the City of St. Catharines is offering free menstrual products at city facilities. It's for recommendation for information. Yes, Councillor Iononi?
If anybody's been following it, it was to help the homeless, help those that were less fortunate. The cost was not anywhere onerous. I'd make a motion that the City of Niagara Falls adopt the same policy.
Well, they're doing a trial in St. Catharines.
Yeah,
So,
and we do it as a trial also.
okay, so what period did you want to suggest to try it? 3 months?
I would follow the same guidelines St. Catharines. And the problem is,
Yes.
we're very fortunate where the city paired with the homeless shelter, where in the morning they could get up, they could go to the arena, and they could have a shower. That was way and above what we could do for them the year before. What we did not factor into that was dealing with women. And even when we asked for donations, my daughter had to call me from Toronto and say, did you think you left out a population? I said, no, we asked for this. She said, you didn't ask for any women's personal items. I felt kind of ashamed because we really hadn't. So maybe follow the same trial the City of St. Catharines did. And we have people who go from our shelters to there, so it really is a necessity.
So motion for staff to obviously investigate what they're doing in St. Catharines. Nothing's in here. that says when it is.
I make motion staff bring back a
Yeah.
report what the City of St. Catharines is doing, and I can put a motion on the floor of the next council meeting.
Okay, that's moved by Councillor Iononi, seconded by Councillor Pietrangelo. If there's no discussion to that, all those in favor? Okay, and that's approved, thank you. Item 9.3, noise bylaw. Yep, noise bylaw exemption for the museum for their special event. Moved by Councillor Pietrangelo, seconded by Councillor Strange, that we give them exemption. All those in favor? That's approved. Item 9.4, Bridgewater Street parking, and we have, pardon me? Okay, so we've got, okay. So moved by Councillor Thompson to approve.
I'll second it. I mean, is the motion for a report, Your Worship? Yeah. Is that what the motion is for a staff report?
It is
Are we approving parking?
to,
No, to approve the post.
to approve the parking.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, Your Worship, can I speak to that?
Yes.
I mean, obviously there needs to be parking on the street. There's been parking there for many years. People just park on the side of the road. I don't understand why we needed a petition, or even why we're enforcing the fact that there is no parking on the road. People need some place to put their visitors' cars. So I'd be happy to second the motion that we allow on-street parking, Your Worship.
Yeah, and it's on street, it's just the stoned area, just off the on street. Yeah, yeah. Okay, and I know we've got someone here from the group, but if council's making the motion, so we've got moved by Councillor Thompson, seconded by Councillor Pietrangelo, that we do allow the parking on Bridgewater Street in the stoned parking areas just off the street, as they've been doing in the past. All those in favor? And that's unanimous. Okay, thank you for that. Thank you to Ms. McKinley for coming out. Okay. Moving on, 9.5. Receive the recommendation by Councillor Pietrangelo, seconded by Councillor Carriot. It's just an update from the region on their year-end growth report. Item 9.6, special occasions permit. What's that?
We didn't vote on that.
On which one?
9.5.
Oh, I'm sorry. All those in favor of receiving? Thank you for that. 9.6.
Move the special occasions.
Okay, motion by Councillor Pietrangelo, second by Councillor Strange, that we move the special occasions permit for the zombie mud run for Crohn's and colitis to take place at the Can Park Resorts on Lundy's Lane. All those in favor? That's approved. Thank you.
Move the proclamation.
Item 9.7, moved by Councillor Pietrangelo, second by Councillor Lococo, that we move the proclamation for the Brothers and Sisters Community Day on Thursday, August the 15th, and that we call that day Brother and Sister Community Day. All those in favor? Okay, thank you. Glad everyone's paying attention. Item 9.8, Councillor Pietrangelo making the motion, second by Councillor Dabrowski, that we have the flag raising for National Polycystic Kidney Disease for September the 4th. All those in favor? And that's approved, thank you. Item 9.9, the 9th Annual Heaters Heroes Run for Children, Saturday, August the 10th. They are asking, what are we asking for here?
Extension of the noise bylaw. So moved, Your Worship.
Extension of the noise bylaw. Yes, until 10 p.m. Moved by Councillor Carriel, second by Councillor Thompson. With a conflict for Councillor Strange. All those in favor? Okay, and that's approved with Councillor Dabrowski opposed. We, that was a joke. Councillor Dabrowski's in favor. In camera, Mr. Clerk.
Yeah, a closed meeting was held earlier this evening to discuss CN train operations. Council is prepared to make the following motion. That the requested budget of $300,000 for the next phase of this study, as identified in the 2019 capital budget, be approved, and that the contract with WSP Canada Group Limited be extended to include this additional scope. And also that the mayor and clerk be authorized to execute the necessary contract documents. The session was also held to discuss labor relations, and the clerk has been directed to add an additional bylaw related to such at the next council meeting.
Okay, thank you for that. Looking for a motion to ratify, moved by Councillor Strange, second by Councillor Campbell. All those in favor? That's approved, thank you. The bylaws.
Bylaws begin for second and third division.
Councillor Pietrangelo makes the motion, second by Councillor Thompson, that the bylaws be given a first, second, and third reading. All those in favor? That's approved, thank you. And we're on to new business. Councillor Aino.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm just going to make a notice of motion that I will be bringing forward in August. The city of Fort Erie last night passed a whistleblower policy. I will be bringing it forward to this council for the August meeting, and I will send you all their resolution and policy beforehand so that you know what we're discussing that night.
Thank you.
I just think it's too in-depth to do tonight.
Okay, thank you for that. I'm sorry,
Pardon?
Mr. Clerk.
Just let you know, I did receive a copy of that today, so our plan is to also include some information as a communication item with regards to that.
That's great, so it can be in my motion. I can get that, will be helpful.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. New business, Councillor Thompson.
I'll start off, I got a couple of items. This is, everybody got a copy of this letter from Tony Isapon. I was out on Stone Road. Your microphone on, please.
Oh, your microphone.
Your microphone on, please. Why, are you gonna print something?
Anyway, Tony and his Hilda Isapon, Thorstone Road, I was out there. They were very concerned about the traffic and the speeding at the far end of Thorstone Road after the residential, right at the end of the residential area.
The Kaler Road, Gardner Road? Or the other way?
No, that's Thorstone between Brookdale and Kaler. Just at the end, they're speeding on the way in, speeding on the way out, and it's still residential area. And I referred it to staff at that particular time, and they reduced it from 60 to 50 miles an hour. And they are saying that there's no police out there on a regular basis, and the speeding is still a serious problem. And at the same time, they also mentioned Shriners Creek behind their properties, which is not maintained and is causing the homes in the area some distress. So I would just refer this to staff to come back with a report and contact the people to see if we can resolve some of the problems.
Okay.
So move.
Okay, so motion by Councillor Thompson, second by Councillor Campbell, that we refer the speeding enforcement to staff to follow up. And we have comment.
Shriners Creek.
In Shriners Creek, Mr. Bilodeau.
Just regarding Thoroldstone Road, that's a regional road, so local or city staff can't comment on that. So the matter could be referred to regional staff.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so we'll refer that to regional staff to refer to police.
Yeah, that's.
All those in favor?
Yeah.
Okay, and that's unanimous, thank you.
Okay. I'd like to talk, and pardon me? Yeah, I'd like to talk, and I'm not going to make a motion, but I hear all of the comments about the possibility of amalgamation coming from the provincial government. And I think without exception, the city of Niagara Falls is going to be the biggest loser regardless of what happens. The worst situation that could happen would be one municipality. So we all have to fight to make sure that that doesn't happen. Certainly, Councillor Puttock moved out of the city last week, so but he still has his computer, so he's still talking about the Berkeley report, 3 or 4 municipalities, and I don't have a problem with 3 or 4. In fact, you've been consistent with your comments about that, and I think we have to be ready for anything, because without exception, we're going to be, regardless of what happens, the biggest losers in this situation. We get 26 million through your efforts and the casinos here annually handed to us. Whoever we're amalgamated with is going to benefit from that. We have the lowest debt, I think, in the region. We've done a great job on our infrastructure with the money that we've had coming in and what you've done with the parks. And the last couple of years has been phenomenal. And everybody who comes with us is going to benefit, and we're going to be the big losers in this situation. So, pardon me? Pardon me?
He said we own the hydro, we own our hydro.
Oh, well, there's going to be something from the province regarding hydros too. So that's another problem we're going to have to deal with. But anyway, I've given this a lot of thought, and I thought, why can we not convince the province that Niagara Falls, the major tourist destination, 40,000 jobs in the city of Niagara Falls and the region created here. We are a special municipality in Niagara Falls. If you talk to in India, any other, China, whatever, you mention Toronto, where's Toronto? Niagara Falls, everybody knows. And we got to maintain that name. And I thought they're talking Niagara Falls, Niagara on the Lake, and Fort Erie. Fort Erie has already come out and said, we want to be out of the region. We don't want any amalgamation. We don't want to have amalgamation with them with their debt and all their other problems up there. So I'm suggesting that we try to convince the province that the best idea is to put the destination together of Niagara Falls and Niagara on the Lake. We're all in tourism, 100%, and we're the major destination in Canada. So if you're going to have 3 or 4 municipalities, make one Niagara Falls with Niagara on the Lake and Niagara Falls. And we're going to be the best off if we start making it larger, taking in Fort Erie, we're still gonna be the big losers. So I'm just gonna express my opinion that I think that would be a great opportunity for us. You could have, I'm not a ward person, and in fact, if everybody did like we did years ago, reduced our council from 12 to 8, everybody should have done the same thing, and we got rid of the ward system, which created an opportunity to work together rather than people saying, oh, if we spend that money for the benefit of the city, it isn't going to happen in my ward. That was a bad system, and we went to the OMB and we beat it. And I think when you talk about the ward system, we could probably have Niagara on the Lake one ward and Niagara Falls another ward, and reduce the people on the council. But that's just my thoughts. I'm not going to try to carry it any further, but I think we got something really special here, and whatever happens, it's not going to be to our benefit. So I had my opportunity to speak.
Thank you. Councillor, was that to that point?
To this subject.
Yeah.
And I heard you on the radio today with the 4-city, the group talking about the 4-city. So I went on the website. I didn't even know that report was there.
They just put it up.
Oh, it said May. So.
Yeah, it was just, I think, this morning.
Okay, so I think we all need to have a copy of that report, but I think we also need to have a copy of the 1-city report. Not that I'm not either way, but you hear the councillors, every council's talking about it in silos, in their council, in our council. Fort Erie doesn't want to merge. St. Catharines wants to be on their own. We want to be on our own. There's arguments for both that have been published. Maybe get us both. Have staff provide us with both so that we can read the arguments on both sides, particularly what I was listening to this morning. I want to make sure when we make this, I quite frankly think the decision's out of our hands. I think it's because we're so successful, because we have so much money, because we have so little debt, that they're going to ask us to carry the 1-city. I really believe that because financially we are heads above with our casinos and our casino money. That said, we don't have their argument and we don't have ours. So if staff could provide us that, so when we stand up and say, this is why we want this to be, Fort Erie just said, we just want to just leave us out. Just let us go on our own with no argument. I think Doug Ford's going to come in and do what he wants to do, but I want to know both sides. And I think it's incumbent upon us to be informed on both sides so that we can speak as a council as opposed to just 4 voices on the radio. Make sense?
Yeah, well,
Okay.
We can make a motion if you
So
like.
I move that council be provided both those reports. Who paid for that report?
I don't know.
Oh, you don't, it wasn't us?
No.
Somebody asked me that today and I
Yeah,
said,
no,
I don't believe it was us.
There was no public money involved at all.
No, okay, perfect. All right, so if we can, I'd like to make a motion that we be provided the 1-city, because I think they have what they submitted to the province too, and the 4-city reports provided to council so that we can talk informed.
Okay. Moved by Councillor Ioannoni.
Please.
Seconded by Councillor Dabrowski, that we be made a copy of each of the 2 reports that are available out there. All those in favor? Okay, and we'll get those reports for the next meeting. Okay, Councillor Strange, then Peter Angelo.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I just want to talk a little bit about, we have our 9th annual Heaters Heroes Run for Children coming up August 10th at Oaks Park. And our hosts are the Fallsview Hose Brigade, which is a member, and so is Councillor Dabrowski. We've helped probably almost 100 children and their families in the last 9 years in honor of Bob Heater Lavelle, who was a big mentor of mine and helped me and helped children and different charities in Niagara Falls. So kind of carry on his legacy. I can't believe it's going to be 9 years already, but this year we're helping 9 families, and our mandate is to help children who have terminal illnesses or life-altering illnesses or injuries. So like I said, we have 9 children that are helping us. We're basically do 9 laps where they walk a lap and they walk with celebrities. And I would love, we always do it every year where we have our our opening ceremonies at noon, and then at 12:30 on our first lap, we always have our celebrities as council. So we would love to have all the councillors there to be our celebrities, and we also bring in some of our former Heaters heroes as celebrities. Some of these have beaten cancer, and we've seen a couple. One at the Canada Day Parade, Reed Wales, we saw, so he's going to be one of our celebrities. And Brookie Isaac, who you rang the bell with at KO for Kids, so she's coming back. And a special one, Julianne Misk, who just got the clean bill of health, which is pretty amazing, for osteosarcoma, which I haven't even met a child who's beat that. So it looks like she is on her way, and she's doing it, so she's going to be running or walk, probably running, I'm sure, around Oaks Park. But we have great events during the day. We're planning on having lots of bands, Niagara Inflatables, trying to get the dunk tank to get yourself in there, maybe possibly. And we'd love for you to come out, obviously, to be part of the opening ceremony. So we love everyone for come on out. Maybe if we can put it on our website to kind of promote, we would love that as well.
So let's make that a motion that
Okay, I'd like to
we
make a motion.
put the Heaters Heroes event on the city's website, moved by Councillor Strange, second by Councillor Iannoni. All those in favor? That's great. Happy to do that. Great job. Great event, and you've kept it going all these years, and it's a big deal to a lot of these kids. Doesn't seem like a big deal to the adults, but the kids, it's a really big deal. You can see their
Yes,
eyes.
it's nice seeing former Heaters heroes come out, and where people have donated in the past, and they've seen that they beat cancer. So it gives other kids some inspiration that are fighting this year, so it gives them hope.
Yep, that's great. That's great. Councillor Pietrangelo.
Yeah, thanks, Your Worship. I have two things. One is, yeah, that's it. That's it. The first one, I know all of council received an email about Meisner Road, and I think staff have gone out there already and put some traffic barriers up. But I wanted to talk about Meisner as well, just because I heard from some other residents. So just to give you the perspective of what's happening right now, the region is replacing culverts along Montrose Road. The culverts that they're replacing are anywhere in between Schistler and Netherby Road. So from Schistler to Netherby, there's detours. Now, if you're headed down Montrose from Niagara Square and you're headed towards Netherby, the detour is asking you to take a right on Schistler, go down to Doan's Ridge, take a left, and then go up to Netherby, and then you catch Netherby that way. People's GPSs are obviously telling them something different, telling them that they can go past the detour sign and that there's other roads available. The first road that they come to once they leave Montrose is Meisner. So everyone has been taking a left on Meisner. Meisner is not really built for all that traffic. It's a tar and chip road. I believe that it has 2 one-way bridges, and one of those even has a wooden culvert still. Doesn't even have a steel culvert yet. Then if you're taking Meisner and you actually get to Ridge Road, it's an unopened road allowance from Ridge Road to Netherby Road. So they had 3 cars stuck last week trying to get through to Netherby Road, just because that's where their GPS is telling them to go. If we could just send them down to Crowland. Crowland is a much better built road. It would be better for traffic flow. I know right now the city has gone out there, the traffic department's gone out, and they've actually put signs along the unopened section of Meisner in between Ridge and Netherby that just barricade it and say no traffic whatsoever. But it'd be nice if we could put something that said local traffic only on Meisner, at Ridge, and at Yoakum, so that we send the traffic actually down to Crowland. Because I don't think we want all those transport trucks and heavy vehicles on those roads out there. We're going to do some damage, and we're just going to be the ones that have to repair it after. So I would make that motion, and maybe a comment from traffic staff as well.
Okay, that'd be great. So let's first get the motion on the floor that we put a local traffic only sign on Meisner between Ridge and Yoakum. And moved by Councillor Pietrangelo, second by Councillor Lococo. And I'd ask Mr. Lodo if you have any feedback or anything on the motion that we're looking to put forward.
Yeah, the only comment I can make is that I was out of the office last week, and I know regional staff have been trying to correct this issue. I could definitely follow up tomorrow to see what's been done and what still needs to be done. So,
Okay.
And that's great, Your Worship. I think where we're running into problems is Montrose is run by the region, and all the other roads are run by us. So I think we need some signs on our own roads, and they can put signs on their roads as well.
Okay, so let's call that vote. All those in favor? Okay, and that's approved. You got the floor.
Yeah, thanks, Your Worship. Second item, I know all the council would have received an email about the Millennium Trail, and I don't know whether or not anyone on council has received other emails. I have, your worship, and the section of the Millennium Trail that I'd be referring to is the one in between Royal Manor Drive and Lundy's Lane. And there's a lot of, I know I go on it, but I go on it during the day. I don't usually go on it at nighttime. But at nighttime, there is a lot of loitering. I just want to read you some excerpts from one of the emails that I got. A woman writes to me, all our wildlife is gone. Dogs off their leash, driving residential dogs nuts. It's not an off-leash park. Okay, understandable. Motorcycles, e-bikes, quads, motorized picnic table, yes. Drunk people driving an electric customized picnic table on the bike path.
Did you say a motorized?
Motorized picnic table.
I've
Yes.
never even heard of that.
Yeah. Drinking, yelling, screaming, and if there's people walking, they don't move. Garbage, broken fences, groups drinking, doing drugs, and the police tell us that there's nothing that they can do. I don't even feel safe on the trail after dusk. I understand that they wanted a trail, but it needs to be monitored.
Yeah.
And, your worship, these were some of the concerns that that came forward when we first started talking about the trail. And then I know there was differing opinions. Some people said, no, this will never happen. Other people said, well, we'll deal with that when it actually does happen. It's happening. So I guess my question would be, you know, let's react. Let's put a plan in place that deals with some type of security. And I really don't know what that means. I'm not a security expert. But I was hoping that maybe staff could tell us what we can do to help the people out there. Because, I don't know, I mean, it's nice that the trail is there, but from a selfish standpoint, I get to use the trail, and then I go home to my house where I don't have people loitering in behind my house. So what can we do to make sure that the people that are backing onto the trail don't have to deal with that loitering?
Yeah, so Ms. Moldenhauer, do we have, let's kind of get an answer first. I'm not sure who or if that's Mr. Nickel. I believe Cantech we've got hired because I've seen them out at parks at nighttime. I've seen them, so I'm just wondering if we need to step up our patrols in this piece, this section of the Millennium Trail, because I have not been hearing problems about with our trails. This is the first I've heard. So,
Did you get an email?
no, I don't recall this. When did this come?
Well, you
Oh,
didn't get
quite
this
some
one,
time
Oh, I
ago.
didn't get that one,
but you
no.
got another one this week.
Yeah. We
Okay.
got lots of them.
But prior to this, I've
But
not
can I just
received any
say,
emails.
we have a dozen of our staff trained in SEPTED, crime prevention through environmental
Yeah.
design. We need, and that, I was one of them arguing that when we put it in. There are ways to minimize that for the residents behind them using SEPTED principles, and we should be asking our staff who are certified in SEPTED to come up with solutions for us, because Cantech is not the answer. They can't be there 24/7. So the whole point is to make it so that they can be seen, make it so it's not easy, make it so they're visible, make it so it's more welcoming. So the more people that are on it, the less those people are on it. There's ways to do it, and we haven't implemented any of that. So maybe our staff who are trained in SEPTED can take a look at that.
It's a good idea. It's a good idea. So I don't know if we have any feedback from any of our either Rec and Culture or Municipal Works. I know Eric, in fairness, you're just on the team recently. I don't know, Ms. Moldenhauer, do we have any comments on the trail that you could offer right now, or we can just make our motion?
Through to the mayor, we do have Cantech going along the trail, and Cantech does go along the entire Millennium Trail area. They're also in your parks, but you're correct, they're not there 24/7. So we did ask Cantech to increase the time that they do spend in that area of the Millennium Trail.
Yeah, Councillor?
And anybody who uses that Millennium Trail for reasons they're not supposed to will figure out when Cantech's going to be there and have somebody watching for when Cantech is coming. That's not simply our solution.
Yeah.
So I move that we ask our staff who are certified in SEPTED to put a crime prevention initiative together for that trail. I don't mind helping. I was the one who helped put out the class, but I think we need to do something like that as soon as possible based on those emails.
Okay, Councillor Campbell?
I'll second that motion, but I also received an email, they found a dead body along the
Yeah, we all received that.
I'm sorry?
We all received that.
Yeah,
And I haven't read anything in the newspaper about it.
yeah, which is... Well, so we've got a motion by Councillor Ioannoni, seconded by Councillor Campbell, that we have staff do SEPTED evaluation of the situation, and hopefully included in that will be increased surveillance and patrols by Cantech, especially in that area. Yes, did you want to speak, Mr. Nickel?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. The only other thing I would add is that we do have staff on a night shift. We have different shifts of our own staff who can get out there and try to address some of these nuisance issues before they get out of control. So if there are things that are maybe not relative to a police matter where you call 911, you can definitely contact our dispatch, and we can dispatch someone to go out and then try to address them. And if we feel that it's escalated to a trespass issue or we need to get these people off our property, we can escalate it therefore to the police. So our dispatch number I can provide, or you can check it out on our website for those watching.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you for that. Yes, Councillor Ina.
And I think if that's going to happen, that our staff have to go out in pairs.
Yeah.
We have a lot of homeless who are using tents and sleeping with along the trails also. So there's a difference between those who are causing problems and those who are just trying to find a quiet place to pitch their tent to sleep overnight. But I don't think I'd send a staff out there by themselves.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so we've got the motion. Everyone understands it? All those in favor? Okay, and that's unanimous. Thank you for that. Any other new business? Motion for adjournment. Councillor Dabrowski and Councillor Lococo. Thank you for that. All those in favor? Finished. Thank you.